Stranger Things 5's teaser is here. And yes, I've already watched it 17 times, paused every frame like I was decoding government files, and fully ignored all my real world responsibilities to bring you this breakdown. We've got 11 missing, Hawkins literally cracking open, Vecna still slimy, and the upside down looking like it's applying for world domination. So today we're diving into what's going on with 11, what this means for the kids, and whether Hawkins has any property value left. From what we've seen, this trailer is likely made from the first 4 episodes of the season, which means horrifyingly, this is just the setup. Classic Duffer Brothers introduce a horrifying supernatural threat, traumatize a bunch of teenagers, and then split them up into mini missions to fix it, like it's a group project. Last time we saw our Hawkins crew, they were staring into their smoldering little town as red lightning struck and upside-down ash started falling like snow. Vecna seemed to succeed in opening a rift between worlds, and Hawkins is now permanently on fire. It's been reported that the new season jumps forward a year, and promo materials show flyers for a missing 11, but those aren't from friends. They're likely from the military, who still think Elle is the root of the upside-down mess and want her eliminated. The military has straight up colonized the new rifts. They've taken over the town library, now a vine-infested gateway, and are doing controlled burns like they're trying to roast marshmallows in hell. This heals back to Owen, who also tried to keep the vines at bay by burning them. They've gated this part of town off, turned it into a military zone, and meanwhile, we get shots of Joyce, Will, 11 huddled in some basement or bunker, listening to the radio countdowns, bracing for another burn. Will's passing out into a trance again, his eyes close. He ends up passing out, which means his hive connection is still active. And now that the upside down is in Hawkins, he will feel it all. Remember, his hive connection lets him feel everything, from every creepy crawly to Vecna himself. Whatever they feel, so does he. Rumors say he's a target for Vecna, who loves deeply troubled teens, and it may be true since he's another way to 11. But most importantly, Will is the key.
I think about that night all the time.
It started with him, and it looks like we're going to see more about those initial moments and how it wasn't by accident. It looks like there was a reason why Will was chosen, why the Demogorgon came across him, why this all started. Cut to the local AM radio station, WSQK. Shout out to Steve, probably running the show with zero credentials, and it looks like he's trying to project a signal towards the radio tower using a van rigged with a massive antenna. Once it hits 100, Steve drives off while 2 kids on bikes trail behind, and it looks like Elle stays behind at the station. Why? Is she bait? Is this a distraction? Or is this a bad idea? I'm guessing it's the last one. Steve's driving through house fences chased by God knows what. But notice, this is a regular car with an antenna, not a van. And I wonder about the importance of the radio signal in this storyline. The main theory here is that they're either luring the Mind Flayer or Vecna to the radio tower, or that this radio signal will help 11 project herself or project something, or act as a weapon. Who knows? But it seems to be part of a major plan that they have, that they're all working together to make. The tower becomes completely engulfed in upside-down particles later on as Robin looks up at it. And we can't tell if this was part of the plan, or if this Vecna just messing up an attack. There are multiple plans at hand, it seems, this season. We get the boys in a circle, putting hands in like it's a Disney Channel original movie. Dustin adds his hand last, and underneath there's a map. But then we see everyone split up again. Dustin's grieving Eddie, whose grave has been vandalized by angry Hawkins locals. This leads to what we can expect is bullying, as Dustin has double black eyes for the rest of the clips. Locals still blame Eddie Munson, or should I say the teenagers, of the high school still blame Eddie Munson for worshiping the devil and bringing this cursed existence into Hawkins. Of course, he never did any of that, but this is what they think happened here. They think that Eddie Munson was worshiping the devil and playing Dungeons and Dragons, and that somehow, some way, that put a curse on Hawkins. Lucas is running around with other kids, possibly in the tunnels, looking very stressed. Is this a part of the plan? Is this a part of what these boys put their hands together in that circle? These tunnels look like man-made tunnels, as opposed to the vine-covered ones we saw way back in season 2, but I may be wrong, because these may be the same tunnels without the upside-down decorations. Either way, I assume this close-up is of Lucas coming across a massive wall similar to the gate from season 1. Did he run all the way back to the lab? And it looks like there are pods in between. Possibly Demogorgon? Max, still in a coma, still no brain activity. Lucas is at her side in the hospital until Demodogs show up, because of course they do, and then he has to head to the basement or some other tech room to hide from the dogs. In fact, there seems to be a whole outbreak of Demodogs and Demogorgons at a certain point in this story. Joyce is in a barn swinging an axe like a horror movie mom, and Mrs. Wheeler and Holly are underwater in a bathtub with bubbles on the top, hiding from a possible Demodog, sniffing the surface of the water maybe? We all know Holly disappears in the new season, and if you didn't, I'm sorry to break it to you. The new season had the blurred out episode title teased that someone was missing, but originally it showed us that it's a Wheeler who's missing. So this may be the important moment when Holly disappears, and we can see that there is a scene where it seems that she's by herself and afraid. Is this the moment when they take Holly? Meanwhile, Jonathan, Nancy, Steve, and Dustin seem to return to the upside-down version of the lab. There's a heartfelt moment with Jonathan that later shows what looks like a ceiling of vines being electrocuted. Unsure if this is an upside-down new power or if Nancy and friends electrocuted the brains out of this, or is this possibly the creation of a new gate? Nancy's crying while washing blood off her hands later on, and it can be speculated that this may be the moment when Jonathan may have sacrificed himself to allow for the rest of them to venture out of the upside down. Dustin is then seen sobbing. Does this mean that something happened to Jonathan? We see Steve's car rushing into red light, but it looks like this is actually how Steve and the gang get into the upside down. He straight drives through a gate with his car. 11 has gone into hiding for most of this time, avoiding the portion of the military that continues to hunt her. This time by Sarah Connor veteran from Terminator 2, Linda Hamilton. Hopper has become the hero dad. It seems that in the middle of all of these Vecna problems, the military finds 11 and fires about 100 bullets into a wall, somehow injuring her. No problem, Daddy Hopper throws 2 grenades and the race is on. 11 also ends up in a deprivation tank twice, so she's going to do some mental warfare for sure this season, at least in these 4 episodes. Hopper built her a tank back at the cabin, and it looks like Elle jumps into the tank she used at the lab, even though I can't tell if it's the upside down lab or it's the regular lab, but considering that the actual scene doesn't look grungy and dirty, I'm going to assume this is the original lab. And that leads back to the upside down. This is the first time Elle physically returns to the upside down with Hopper by her side, but I mean in person. 11 has never been in the upside down physically. She's always been there telepathically. But all of this doesn't go without some Vecna torment. And at one point we hear Vecna say, "Found you." I imagine he's found 11 alone at this point. He could have also found Will, but I do believe that this moment is for 11. And what is this flesh-looking blanket exactly? And then there are the parts that are hard to piece together. Erica's injecting somebody with a needle, and she's running around with these new kids. God save them if they get on her nerves. The last time that we saw an injection happen was during the time that Will was under the Mind Flayer's control. and they would inject him with a sedative in order to put him to sleep. So who is Erica injected? Someone needs to go to bed. Who is it? Is it one of these new kids? Did they get on her nerves? I mean, that would make sense. Murray and Robin head off on a mission of their own. It leads them to the radio station in this plan, and there's a Demogorgon chase where he mounts on the back of Murray's truck all the way back, but I cannot tell what exactly their purpose is in this whole plan. I mean, I imagine there's like 3 plans running simultaneously, but it seems that it leads all back to the radio station. And then at some point, Mike and Joyce end up in front of the library. And across from Joyce's job, with all of these new kids, and it's just Mike and Joyce, they are surprised by something that shows up. And by the looks of it, this is either the Demogorgon that came up from the ground, causing everyone to hightail it, leading her back to a barn where she's forced to come face to face with it, or it's Vecna himself. And then there's Nancy with a shotgun again. No surprise there. Nancy has held a shotgun in this series about 20 million times. She apparently shoots at something in the Upside Down, and she's wielding a shotgun while in someone's house with 11. What run are Nancy and 11 on now? I don't know, but it looks dangerous, maybe running from the military or possibly questioning someone. That's what it looks like to me. And it looks like before things take flight this season, 11 takes flight. That's right, your girl is taking full flight and has been practicing her airborne attacks. We saw her hover before, but I'm sure no one expected for her powers to upgrade in this way. It also looks like Will's ability to connect with the Hive would lead him to having more info on Vecna and what he's doing than we're ready for. Will is caught in Vecna's vines later on, and I'm hoping it's one of Vecna's illusions because Will has been through enough. Which leads us back to the biggest discovery of this trailer. Vecna is set on fire again, and yet he blocks it with one hand. In this scene, Vecna is keeping the fire away. This is a new season and a new problem. Fire doesn't even work anymore. How are they going to defeat Vecna now? So Stranger Things 5 is coming for my soul, my peace, and probably my group chat. This teaser feels like someone yelling, "Run." Tell me what you saw, what you're terrified of, and which character you're already pre-mourning. Comment your wildest theories below, let me know what I missed, and seriously, someone check Will's location and maybe get him a therapist.